Hey, welcome to the podcast. This is Andy, just me today. And I wanted to come on to talk about AI in career development and in growing your career. And the reason is that, well, obviously, AI is everywhere. It's a topic of discussion in every area of business, every line of business, every career that you could be in these days. For the most part, people are talking about AI and the impact that it's having on the business. And I don't think I've done an episode specifically about AI yet. I've talked about all types of different facets of career development and the importance of taking ownership of your career, especially during changing times when things are moving fast. We don't want to get caught waiting around for other people. So we want to make sure that we're taking ownership, we're taking responsibility, we are being intentional with what we're doing and where we're going in our careers. And I think I've talked about in the past on here when I talked about the most valuable skills of the future that I believe curiosity and empathy are the two most valuable skills of the future. And specifically, that no matter what role you are in, curiosity is the number one skill or trait that will lead to success in the future. Certainly, nothing guaranteed. Just being curious is not itself a key to success. You also need to do things, implement, provide value to people in different areas, whether it's as an entrepreneur or as an employee. But I do think that as things keep changing and changing, it's those who remain curious and open minded and not stuck in their ways who are more likely to find new ways of doing things, to be open to using new technologies, and to learn new ways to provide value to their employers, to their clients, etc. And so I try to always remain curious in everything that's going on and not be closed minded about things. And the reason I bring that up in the topic of AI, probably obvious to many of you, but I know there are a lot of people out there who are concerned about their jobs and the future of their job, of their profession, of their career in the advent of the AI world, right? As AI becomes more and more prolific and has been taking over different jobs, we see the job prospects, the market has been tougher for new grads in early, we'll say, knowledge worker type roles. It is becoming a little scary out there for a lot of people. And I have no idea what the future holds. I have no idea where any of this is going, but I try to remain optimistic in all these situations while also not waiting around to find out what happens. I also want to take control. So there's two things that I think about. Number one is that throughout history, technology has disrupted industries and disrupted jobs, right? And you think about a lot of jobs that existed 20 to 30 years ago that just don't exist anymore because of technology, right? Whether it's people working on factory floors, putting things together by hand that are now done by machines, to, I don't know why I always think of this, but when I was growing up in Orlando, Florida, we had a lot of toll roads, and my father used to have to stop and throw coins into a basket or hand a bill, money, to a toll attendant, and then that attendant would give us change and let us through. I now live in Spain, but I still go back to Orlando. I've driven in multiple countries and states through and on toll roads in the last 10 years, and I don't think I've seen a toll attendant anymore in several years. So that was a job that probably employed thousands of people across the United States in, we'll say, 1995. And now, 20 years later, 30 years later, that job pretty much doesn't exist. It's all automated, right? You go through a toll and it just either scans your pass or takes a picture of your plate and then sends you a bill or deducts money from your account or something like that, right? Here in Spain, actually, there's tolls, a lot of the tolls you still have to stop and tap a credit card, but there's still no one that to pay. You don't need to pay with cash, that sort of thing. So anyway, I digress. The point is, things are changing. A lot of jobs that existed 20 years ago have been taken over by technology. But throughout history, throughout that time, almost always new jobs are created, right? In other words, in the 1950s, when technology started automating a lot of things in manufacturing, 1960s, even going back further, right, to the Industrial Revolution. But think about the 1950s, 60s, technology started automating parts of technology. Automakers started using robots in the 80s to build a lot of cars. And a lot of people could look at that and say, oh my gosh, they're taking all our jobs and there won't be anything left for us. But the truth is that a lot of new jobs were created, right? Think about computer programming, all the jobs that are created by the internet, which, took away some jobs and then created new jobs. And so new jobs are always created. Oftentimes those jobs do require more education And so those who were in quote unquote unskilled labor type jobs may need to go back to school or find something else, right? In a different industry or maybe out of luck, right? There certainly on a macro basis, when technology takes over jobs, new jobs are created. On a micro level, there are always people who are winners and losers in these situations, right? There are always people who are in unfortunate situations and people who are like ready and poised to capitalize on whatever the situation is. So this is not to say that everything always works out fine for everybody involved. It's just that on a macro level, when technology has disrupted jobs and industries in the past, it has always created new jobs. Now, there is reason to be concerned that this time might be different, that as AI takes over jobs and disrupts industries and jobs and the way things are working, that it won't necessarily create new jobs. A lot of people say it will, and that it already is and already has been, right? People that are programming AI, that are working in different facets of it, because quite frankly, one thing I've learned, important thing about AI over the last several months, listening to different presentations and following different experts, is that it's not truly artificial intelligence. It's really computers, robots, et cetera, doing things that we programmed it to do, right? So it's not fully doing whatever it wants yet. Now that may happen eventually, but it's still doing things that we want to do. So we still need the people to program these things in, right? To do this. Now AI starts to do more of that itself. The question is, will it create new opportunities and new jobs? And I'm going to remain optimistic and say, yes, it has, and yes, it will, but I can't predict the future. The second thing is that there will be those who are on the beneficial side of this revolution and those who are not. And I can't tell you who the winners and losers are going to be. I can tell you right now that, unlike in the past, it seems like the manual labor type jobs are the ones that won't be disrupted by AI, because AI can't yet really clean my house or take care of a garden, but AI can take a programmer's job, take a lawyer's job, right, to do knowledge type work that used to be really valuable because someone would have to memorize a lot of information and then implement things based on that information. So AI does start to disrupt a lot of those spaces. There will be winners and there will be quote unquote losers, or people who need to find something else to do, right? And as far as I can tell, just studying and talking to lots of people and listening to people on this subject, the best way to put yourself in a good position to where you are not going to be fully disrupted by AI, you're not going to be a quote unquote loser in this situation, is to embrace it and use it and test it as much as possible. So, what do I mean by that? No matter what type of role you're in, instead of saying, I'm scared of AI, I'm not going to touch it. I'm too old for AI, I'm not going to touch it. I don't know how to use it, I'm not going to touch it. AI doesn't help me in this type of job, so I don't need to touch it. Instead of saying close minded things like that, you ask yourself on a regular basis, I wonder how AI could help me do my job better. I wonder how I could leverage AI tools to be more productive or to get more done or to provide more value to my company or to my clients. I wonder how I can leverage these things no matter what type of role you're in. I'm constantly asking myself this question and my friends this question. How are you using AI? How could I use AI tools to help me get better in the job that I'm doing as a speaker, as a trainer, as an author, etc.? And can I leverage those tools? Because there's a mantra out there now that it's not AI that's going to take your job, it's people using AI that are going to take your job. And I had interviewed Keith Ferrazzi not that long ago for the Talent Development Hot Seat podcast. And one of the things he said that this was it was, I almost hate to repeat this story because it's like a sad way to think about things, but he said avoiding disruption from AI is like the old mantra about outrunning a bear, that if two people are in the woods and one person is lacing up their tennis shoes and the other person says, hey, why are you doing that? You can't outrun a bear. And that first person says, I don't need to outrun the bear. I just need to outrun you. I just need to outrun the person who will get caught by the bear. And he said AI is like that, right? There will be people who are disrupted by AI, but if you are leveraging AI, if you're constantly coming to your boss and your clients and saying, look, I'm leveling up, I'm testing things, I'm finding new ways to provide value because I'm now using AI, then that potentially makes you more valuable and you are able to retain your job, your role. Now, I don't think that's necessarily guaranteed, but let's use the example of a lawyer. I don't know why I keep thinking of this, and I don't know if we have any lawyers who follow me who listen to this podcast, but I think of the main value for most lawyers or attorneys, at least in the United States, is that they have gone to 3 additional years of law school and they have memorized a ton of information about the law. They've passed a test at the bar proving that they know sufficient amount of information about the law, and then they know how to go and do research to interpret the law and either help clients take advantage of the law, help clients win cases based on legal rules, and so forth. And that's what makes lawyers, historically, a lawyer has been a high paid job because it requires so much study and so much knowledge and so much focus and concentration, as well as some persuasion. And depending on the type of lawyer law that you practice, the type of attorney that you are. And it hit me the other day. I was thinking about AI and I was like, I can have AI review a contract for me now. I can have ChatGPT review a contract for me. I can have ChatGPT give me a legal opinion on something based on something, right? To give me some legal advice. Now, it's not a lawyer. We shouldn't fully trust it. I've seen ChatGPT make mistakes. I don't need anyone to reach out and be like, hey, don't fully trust ChatGPT with your most important legal questions. Of course not. If I have and I'm still forming a business partnership, I may want to go to a lawyer to make sure we're covering everything in the right way. But I bet ChatGPT can get me 90% of the way. And my point in that is that it's going to disrupt a lot of jobs in the legal profession. But I also bet that if you're a lawyer, instead of saying, oh, screw AI, like humans are always going to be needed in this profession, saying, I wonder how I can leverage AI to be even more productive and get things done faster for my clients and therefore provide more value. And then I continue to be valuable to my clients and in this space, right? Versus the person that's close minded and says, I'm not going to use it. And so, no matter what profession you're in, my advice is to remain curious, remain open minded, and keep asking the question, I wonder how I can use AI. How can I leverage AI and AI tools to get better at my job, to become more productive, and to provide more value to my employer or my clients or whoever relies on me? And you can be cynical and say, oh my gosh, it's going to be a race to the top of production. And we measured so much on our productivity, but we always have been, especially in the United States. And AI is just going to allow us to get more and more productive. And again, the optimist in me says that in using AI to be more productive, we can maybe eliminate a lot of the mundane type jobs and tasks that a lot of us don't really want to do and focus on the things that where we truly provide value as humans with our experience, our expertise, and our personalities. And I'll also add in this AI age that I think that the concept, the idea of building a personal brand and a network becomes more and more important, more and more valuable because jobs like lawyer or even doctor that are based solely on intelligence and memory are very likely to be disrupted by AI, which is all about intelligence and memory, right? It's artificial intelligence and it has access to the world's knowledge in the click of a button, right? Whereas I think humans will always value connecting with each other, will always value human connection, will always want to connect and work with other people. And so those human skills like connection, influence, like communication, and building a network are going to become more and more valuable. Opportunities will come from people that you've built relationship with, and your personal brand is the way you stand out and what you're known for. And I even have started to think, and I borrow this idea from my friend Leanne Hughes down in Australia, who has a great podcast, by the way, called Leanne on Demand, where she's publishing every single day here in 2025. So check it out. But she talks about a pyramid or a hierarchy of the type of work that we do, the bottom being work we do with our hands and feet, manual labor, the middle being work we do with our knowledge, with our minds, and then the top being where we get paid simply for our personalities and for being us. And I can tell you that is an area that I am pursuing boldly as I've built my personal brand over the many years, that as a speaker and trainer, I know some companies will hire me because of the specific topic that I speak on and the knowledge that I bring. But a lot of times people are going to hire me because of the personality and the energy that I bring to the table and who I am and the personal brand that I've built. And so I am intent on continuing to build that so that I can continue to stand out and people will hire me based on who I am and the personality and the experience that I bring to the table. And I'll continue to hone that and adjust along the way as well. And I hope that you will think about doing the same thing. So think about how you can continue to leverage, play with AI, to use tools, to embrace it, to lead with curiosity, to leverage AI to get better at the job that you do, something I'm trying to figure out regularly. And then also think about how you can continue to grow your network and grow your personal brand to stand out in a world where our personalities might be more and more valuable because as humans, we value that human connection. Now, as you probably know, I have a book called Own Your Career, Own Your Life. It's available on Amazon. There is a chapter in there about building your personal brand, two chapters about building your network, and a lot about leading with curiosity and trying new things. This book came out before I really knew what AI was, other than some distant concept, right? It came out before ChatGPT. So there's no references in there to that. However, everything in there stands the test of time. And it's all about how you can take ownership and be intentional about your career. I also have a new book coming out in September with my friend Mike Kim. Tentatively, we're titling it Own Your Brand, Own Your Career. And it's how to build your personal brand to be successful in the corporate world. I would love for you to check that out. We're going to have information on our website. If you go to ownyourbrandbook.com, I think. I'll put a link in the show notes to go sign up to be notified about the book coming out. And I'd love for you to check that out and support us in that launch and give us feedback. And I hope that I can continue to put out content that supports you in owning your career, excuse me, in owning your careers and owning your brands. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. I'm rooting for you. And as always, I hope that you will remain ambitious in the career and the work that you pursue, while also remaining grateful for the work you get to do and the life you get to live. Cheers.